Hey guys, we are back. Welcome again to the No Cap Zone. I got my cap, I swear. So right here, cap's happening.
He's not ready. He's not ready for it.
Oh my God. So today, guys, we're going to jump into it. Me and Joe are talking about DaBaby. As you guys know, he's been in a lot of controversy this week for some words that he said at a concert on Sunday. I don't know if you heard. Did you actually hear or read those words were, Joe?
I glanced for a brief moment at the video footage.
You did, okay.
Seemed a little interesting, but I'm down for a replay.
So just to give context to what we're going to talk about today, because I want you all, I don't like when I'll be reading some stuff also, but I don't like when people just are like, oh, he said this thing, blah, blah. Like, no, I want to see the context of where it actually happened. And you all need to see it too. So you guys can at least get an idea, make your own opinions about how it was said, where it was said, and what he may or may not have meant. So let's go ahead and get into that footage real quick. Here we go. Make sure this is not on silent. All right.
You didn't show up today with HIV, AIDS, any of them deadly sexually transmitted diseases that'll make you die in 2-3 weeks. Put a cell phone light in the air. Lady, if your pussy smell like water, put a cell phone light in the air. Fellas,
lights up.
Fellas, if you ain't sucking nigga dick in the parking lot, put your cell phone lights in the air.
Let's be real about this shit.
So what was your take and opinion on that particular incident based on watching it?
Honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. If I was there in the moment, I wouldn't have been shocked. Like, it's hip hop. Hip hop's always been, edgy. And to be honest, the culture traditionally has been slightly homophobic, like in public. Now, we know behind the scenes, there's been some accusations of, a different viewpoint of things, but the bravado of hip hop typically is like hypermasculine. You know what I mean? So I wasn't immediately shocked by the verbiage. I was more shocked by the immediate slapdown that came back from it, which is new, especially in hip hop. I might be a little early jumping the gun here, but I don't know if you were familiar with another rapper by the name of Marshall Mathers, Slim Shady, who faced similar controversy in his time for using a specific slur. And his defense was, I didn't mean it like that. That's not what I was saying. It's just what we say in the rap game as like it's a diss. It's not actually against gay people. I just say it. And it kind of worked because like he hopped on with Elton John and did a song and got a whole bunch of people. Like he kind of did like a mockery of like, hey, I was just playing my bad. I'm sorry. And backed up.
Sure.
So it's not new to me. It's like that happens. That's the culture to me. But that's not saying it's right. That's not saying I agree with it. It's just familiar.
When I first heard about this incident, because I really wasn't, I'm always a listener of what's going into entertainment. So I heard that he said the thing. I hadn't seen the video yet. I didn't see the video, honestly, until today. But hearing stuff over the course of the week, I was like, man, the first part of it was like, okay, I'm not in the homosexual community like that. So who am I to say what's going to be offensive to them or not? So if they're saying what he said was something that was offensive, then I have to take their lead on that. As I was looking at it today and looking at the placement of the wording and the exact phrasing, I started to kind of question what was really going on. He says the thing at the beginning, he says, if you didn't show up today with HIV, AIDS, any of them deadly sexually transmitted diseases that'll make you die in 2 or 3 weeks, then put your cell phones up. He did not say in that sentence, hey, if you're gay and have AIDS and HIV, this and that. He didn't correlate any of that first sentence specifically to gay people because, as you know, gay people and straight people and trans people of all kinds can get AIDS. So he didn't specify on that. Now, so then he goes to the part about ladies, if your stuff smells like water, put a cell phone light, yada, yada. We all know, fresh smelling is the best. So it is what it is. Then the part where he says, fellas, if you ain't sucking D in the parking lot, put your cell phone lights up, keep it real. This might be considered giving a little too much grace to the person at hand. I really try to analyze not just what the person said, but like their particular background, where they came from, and how that might influence their speech. So to that part, in the hood and in many other places, dudes that are sucking D in the parking lot are oftentimes doing it for drugs or other kind of illegal substances. So
that's where we're going with this. That's what we're going to do.
And I say that because he did a follow-up statement where I won't read the whole thing, but he was saying he did a follow-up video where he was trying to explain himself. And he said, when he said those statements, all the lights on the cell phones went up, gay or straight. He said, you want to know why? Because even my gay fans don't have AIDS. They don't got AIDS. My gay fans, they take care of themselves. They ain't doing that. They got class. They're not sucking D in the parking lot. That you're going to get a room at a 5-star hotel, yada, yada, yada. So even though that's still on a level of crass, he's saying he's differentiating gay dudes that are doing that with people that they're with or in a hotel versus ones that are doing it in the parking lot, possibly for whatever. And again, given the environment he came from, where that was probably a regular thing, I could see how in his head he wouldn't think anything of saying that.
Okay.
Possibly. Yeah.
Interesting.
Now to the first part, though, the part, because people are really jumping on him about the whole, because they're correlating the whole AIDS, HIV thing with gay people and him correlating it with that, which I don't think happened at all. But, you know, even people like Elton John came out and said, well, you know, you're getting misinformation about HIV and AIDS, and people nowadays can live with it for years on end and they just take pills and yada, yada, yada. So I said, okay, I'll look into that. Keeping in mind the environment that DaBaby comes from. He's from the hood environment where people ain't making a lot of money and they just ain't got it like that. All right. So if we're looking up drug costs for HIV and AIDS, first of all, there are several tiers. There's like a first tier, which basically like when you first get it, these are the medicines that ideally should help you out. There's generic medicines, and then there's the on-brand medicines. And a lot of the on-brand medicines don't have generic versions. That said, as you can see from the chart here, this is the chart of the various drugs that they have out there on the market. And these are the name brand and then the generic version. A lot of the name brands do not have generic versions. But you see right here, the lowest one you can get is $10, up to $45 for a year. Now, again, this is the first tier level, meaning if you first catch it and you take this, you might be good. You might be good. But if it does not work on you, then there's a second tier and a third tier medication that you have to take. And those triple to quadruple in price each level you go up. So again, I'm not thinking DaBaby's thinking all about this, but if you're in the hood and you catch AIDS, you probably cannot afford this crap. You are probably going to die relatively quickly. So I could see how that would be his viewpoint, given he's just now in a new tax bracket. He's now around people that would say stuff like, well, I can just get a pill and it's no problem. Yeah, you're in that tax bracket now, but for most of his life, he's not. So having that viewpoint, I wouldn't see that being out of line, given the cost of how much this would be and whether or not a person from where he came from could actually afford to do this on a yearly basis, given that they probably have, you know, a low paying job. They probably got kids they got to take care of. They got other responsibilities to whereby this is not an affordable option to them. They're probably going to die. So this is all the stuff that I was researching and thinking about when I was looking at this today. I was just like, I really want to know the context of where he possibly came from with this statement, because to just say he's just outright being sexist and homophobic, you are not looking at things from his light of where he came in.
You really planted down this hill. This is the one, huh? This is what we're gonna go out on.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you dug in. I'm sitting here like, whew. Okay, comment section. Well, sir, here's the thing. You're not wrong. You are not wrong. And to be honest, the whole AIDS HIV conversation can easily be defended that it's not necessarily aimed at the gay community, because we can give example after example after example of people that someone like DaBaby in the hip hop community may be familiar with who have AIDS or have had AIDS, who weren't associated with homosexual lifestyle whatsoever. For instance, Magic Johnson, Eazy-E. You know what I'm saying? We can go down that side of things where he's just like, hey, look, if this isn't something you're dealing with, put your cell phone up. His defense was it was a call and response. You've heard this at concerts forever. Hey, if you got $1 in your pocket, put your hands up. You know what I'm saying? Cat Williams did a whole little thing at the end of it talking about pimping. If you ain't got white socks on, you know what I'm saying? If the dude next to you, if he's ashy around the knuckles, you know what I'm saying? If your vodka and cranberry's really, really red, it's because there's no vodka, buddy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a typical hip hop kind of thing. Now, him choosing to go down this particular path is kind of my question. Like, of all the things you could talk about in this day and age where cancel culture is so vicious, I want to go with the word vicious. Why would you pick a community known to go after people with a vengeance? Like, it's been in the news a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm not saying he targeted this community, but you said some things that they are particularly sensitive to. Yeah. So that's one thing where it's like, while you didn't say it, you still kind of poked the bear a little bit. So that's where I'm like, where you messed up a little bit. Like, you could have picked anything. You know what I'm saying? You could have been, you know, if you from the East Coast, put your cell phone up. It goes that far. Like, it don't matter what you say. You want to put their cell phones up. So I don't know what you do, but it's gonna take some real apologizing, not just the, oh, that's not what I mean. I don't know if that's gonna work, buddy.
That's where we also get back into the thing again about like cancel culture, because again, so he did so the part that I just read you about what he said in reference to his gay fans, that was actually part of a 4-minute and 20-second video where he was basically trying to explain himself and then he actually put out a tweet where he said, hey, I didn't mean to cause any harm, this is nat, whatever. And the response was, well, that's not good enough. Well, you didn't say it this particular way, blah, 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 blah. And this is why I have a problem with, what is the purpose of cancel culture? Are we trying to actually actually educate the person who does something wrong so they can better themselves? Are we trying to just throw virtual and get rid of them? Because being like,
they want to crucify examples. They want to hold people up as example. They did something wrong, string them up. That way, no one else does anything wrong. There's no forgiveness. There's no coming back. You violated, crucify. Period. That's how I feel cancel culture operates. There's no my bad. There's no let me fix it. Not anymore.
Well, it's sad because there are legit people that are posting on Twitter being like, oh my God, I can't wait for so-and-so to do something wrong so we can cancel them. And it's like, why are you already just waiting in the wings, looking at like, I got my target, my gun ready to shoot with the next person who's going to say something wrong. Like, oh, we're going to get you now.
I don't know if that was this one though. Cause like, he seemed like he was a golden boy before this. Like, cause okay, my research kind of went more into who he was and what he was about. To be honest, when he did the track with Dua Lipa, that's when I was like, oh, he kind of crossing over a little mainstream a little bit. Yep. He getting a bigger name. He probably getting some movie deals. Like he was like low-key set at that point. Like you're now pop culture icon. You're no longer like hip hop thug kind of dude with a local following or even just the hip hop. It's more than just the black people listening to you. You're now have a bigger spotlight on you. You're now under a lot more scrutiny. And you got to understand the music industry, especially at that level, that's where you run into these sensitivities about these types of issues. So that's why I'm just like, why would you even dance around that topic? You know the industry you're in, especially at this level, and the people you're working with are associating in some way, like they're willing to be down that hill. You see what I'm saying? Like that's their main primary objective is to promote these lifestyles. And you say something that's going to like punch them a little bit. And I'm like, that's not out of character either. Cause I was looking at it. That's not the only thing he got in trouble for at that show. Apparently, the whole Megan Thee Stallion situation came back up where he had worked with her. And then I guess he worked with Tory Lane. And then they was like, oh no, how you gonna do that? And so that like broke their relationship up. So he brought Tory Lane out and people was like, oh, so you gonna poke at her too? You know what I'm saying? You gonna do, so now he jumped into the like he's over here just like, I'm just gonna piss off everybody at once. I've made it to this level. I'm good. So just let me see how many people I can piss off.
And honestly, wow. To me, that was the bigger incident. To me, was like the fact that like because Megan Thee Stallion's got a restraining order against Tory Lanez. So for DaBaby to invite him to the show and to bring him up, and they're all backstage together, like for me, that's a bigger problem. The whole like, hey, the person you've collaborated with the most, you did a couple songs with Tory Lanez now, and for after she got shot, you did collaborations with him. Like that's where I have more of an issue on that end of things.
But once again, we're going back to the culture to where he's coming from. This isn't like an industry thug type of dude. I'm gonna just go there really quick. Okay. This is a dude that was really in the lifestyle. Everything, when I started researching it, I started coming up with all of this. No, he's really out here beating people up in the streets. Like he really got bodies on him. Look at hip hop, like the gangster rap era. Your credibility was almost more important than your lyrics. So even come to find out his real boost into fame was after the shooting incident. They said that's when it kind of gave him the notoriety. People heard his name. He's, navigated the legal side of it, and then boom, now you on. So that person is going to identify with other people of that same kind of mindset. So, oh, this cat shot a chick in the foot. Oh yeah, that's my dog. I like that. Let me go holler at him. I'd rather work with him than the chick that got shot. So the whole birds of a feather, it's like, oh no, you're supposed to defend her. He was like, nah, I'd have been shooting too. Like that's the kind of dude you're dealing with.
This whole incident reminded me of back in God, I'm dating ourselves. 99 when Jay-Z was oh my God. So when Jay-Z was about to release Volume 3 and they were having the thing at the nightclub where like Jax like stabbed Un in the thing because like it was like he was basically Un was bootlegging his stuff and Jay felt some kind of way about it. So he handled it like the street version of him. The problem is his previous album sold 5 million copies and people, including white people and other communities, now knew who he was. And so he had to take a slap on the wrist for that crap because it's like you can't handle stuff like you used to in the hood. So I think about it like, okay, if he had said these exact same comments to an audience of mostly hood dudes or people that just knew his mixtape or whatever, this wouldn't even be on the radar for anything. But because he's now got that pop audience, he's now got those gay fans, those lesbian fans, or whatever. Like now it's going to be a thing where like there's a wide mix of that, including white people that are gay, that are going to be really mad at you if they feel like you're coming at them, even if you're not intending to, because there's a thing between the intention and then what the actual effect is. You don't have to intend to hurt somebody to do it.
Like that's the whole thing between manslaughter and murder. Did you intend to do it? So like there should be a difference where intention plays a part. The problem is we're not dealing with a court of law. We're dealing with public opinion. We're dealing with dudes on Twitter or people on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's okay, we're mad at you next. Get it. But it's not even just Twitter though, because we're talking about real world consequences. He's getting canceled from future shows. He's getting endorsement deals taken away. He's getting kicked off of songs he's already on. Like this is messing with your money now, dude. Like you're not getting booked for stuff. There's deals you were about to ink that are no longer going to happen because of some dumb stuff that you said at a concert. Like there's got to be somebody in this corner like, hey, look, this is the changes you need to make to operate at this level. And I say that because look at Jay-Z. You can call Jay-Z whatever you want. Jay-Z lived the life legitimately. And it was like, okay, if I'm going to make it over here, I got to let that go. So he needs somebody like that mentoring, like, hey, look, let me take you under the wing. Let me let you know how this needs to go. Because he's not going to hear it from some corporate dude. He's not going to hear it from
I think 50 Cent is actually mentoring him.
50, we need to do a little better. We need to do a little better job here.
But this also begs the question too, like, okay, because what we said in the video also was he said, you know, what I say at the concert, the vibe there is different, and sometimes people take stuff out of context from how it's feeling in a concert, or not. Because he said, everybody at the concert, like you said, if you were there, putting their lights up. He said his gay fans and straight fans are both putting their phones up to what he was saying. So it's like, how far does this go where we're trying to now monitor every single thing an artist says and then determining whether or not that thing can, because I mean, I think back to when Lil Wayne said he did a song with Rick Ross where he said something about, I beat the coochie up like Emmett Till. And people were really mad about it, but he didn't get canceled for it. But he did say that. But I'm also curious, like if the reaction dictates. I'm curious if the reaction also dictates how people respond. Because like Lil Wayne just didn't respond to it, and it just kind of went away. DaBaby responded to this, and his apology wasn't enough what people backlashed it.
Nah, you couldn't ignore this one because it was too big. One thing you deal with Lil Wayne is within your culture, crossing culture. So Lil Wayne making an inappropriate comment about Emmett Till. This is a black man saying something about a black man. You crossed the line. You made black culture mad. No one else really cares. You see what I'm saying? So we're going to kind of hold you accountable a little bit, but we're not going to sit here and destroy your whole career over it. This is a different culture. This is this man crossing someone else's culture. So it's seen as a lot more offensive because you have no say in this. You're not from this community. You can't decide what will and won't offend us. So we're going to sit here. And the other thing too is on behalf of, you have the on behalf of people, which I didn't really like understand that critique at first, but I get it now where it's like, you'll sit there and do so much more to defend somebody else than even how much they're offended by it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's just like last year, like when I had all the protests going on and all the white people were coming on, white people were coming hard last year. Like, I was like, dang, you're doing more than I would to defend our rights. I appreciate you. Thanks. But then, wow.
Yo, good luck. But bruh, I don't know, like the cancel culture, the force is strong with this group. You know what I mean? Like they really get some stuff done. Like I think it's a group that was so disenfranchised for so long that couldn't really exercise any power that now has this power of this group that can cohesively sit there and rip someone apart. So if you stick out a little bit too much, you're the next example. And it's just like, I personally think it's a little too harsh. I really do think there needs to be some sort of way to rectify a mistake. But the other side of it, you see comedians going off all the time about it because they're like, if comedians can't speak freely, there's no hope for your culture. Like that's the whole point of comedy. It's the jester of society. We're the ones who poke fun at the king. You know what I mean? Like, so Chappelle to this day does not allow phones in his concerts. No device, no Apple Watches, nothing. I know. I just saw them, man. You have to lock your stuff up in a pouch that they have the key to. So you have it, you keep your phone, but you can't access it like without some kind of like tool to break into, you know what I mean? Like some industrial scissors or like you can't get into this pouch. It's crazy. People say offensive things. People don't want to be canceled for saying offensive things. So it's like, we've got proof now. We can prove you did this thing. Once we do, we're going to take it out of context, put it out for the world and then judge it.
Most of the time, I'm assuming people going to the shows, they know what they're getting themselves into. Maybe they don't always know that. I guess on some level, maybe musicians should be better aware of that. Just seems weird to me. Like, again, I'm not currently hearing anybody at the show saying they were offended.
You gotta figure Rolling Loud is a multiple artist concert. So they're not just his fans in the building. So it could be a fan of another artist who happens to still be there during his show who's like, yo, what's up with that, bro? Because like you got to figure somebody posted the footage. Somebody put it out there like, yo, this is not cool. I can't believe he said this.
True.
So he probably did offend somebody in the audience. He's saying his fans should know better, but these ain't just your fans no more. You're crossover now. You're dealing with the world. So it's touchy, and it's like, yes, it sucks that you have to walk a line this much, but it's also the reality of the privilege that comes with your level of success. Like, I really can't co-sign on it because I'm like, I can see how that could rub people the wrong way. His defense about his fans not being offended, that's like I have a black friend so I can use the N-word. Like, that's how it came off to me. Right. And that's never going to fly. Like, no, you don't get to pass off that just because you know a person. No, we're not gonna co-sign you. I've always told my friends, look, if you decide you want to say this word, I'm not going to personally punch you in the face. Right? I know you. I feel like I know how you feel about the situation. But if we're in public and he decides to punch you in your face, I'm not going to stop him. You made a decision. You offended him.
Yeah.
I told you not to say it. Like, that's where we at.
I think I just personally always feel some kind of way about just cancel culture in general. Like, this is like the biggest mistake on this platform thus far that he's made. And it's like, he made that one mistake. We got to cancel him right away. I'm not even saying he shouldn't face some kind of punishment for it or some kind of recourse. But I guess there's so many people that I've seen this year get canceled over like a one-time mistake that just seems dumb to me, where I'm just like, is this the thing that really should cancel this person's career? So if this is what's happening right now, what could DaBaby possibly do at this point to be able to get back into the graces of the public that is trying to cancel him so hard right now?
Well, historically, it'd be donate some money to some kind of AIDS foundation and do a song with Elton John. Like, that's kind of like the way out. And I'm not even trying to be funny with the whole Elton John thing. Like, that's literally what Eminem
did. Yeah.
So, we could pick a different artist, I guess. You know what? He got to do he got to do a duet with Lil Nas X. He's the poster child right now. I'm not even being funny. He is the poster child for gay rap. Yeah. He set himself up to be. He in a little trouble right now too, though. So he still gonna make somebody else mad doing that. But you know what I'm saying? They gotta do a show together. You know what I'm saying? Arms around, like, see, look, that's my boy. We good. Like, I didn't need. Like, he needs a cosign from somebody who's representing that culture.
And the sad part is, I think even with that, it'd be like, because people will say they want the apology, but then the person does it. It's like, oh, you're just trying to pander to us. Well, yeah, that's what you asked for. So I can imagine DaBaby doing a song with Lil Nas X. Oh, he's just trying to get back in the grace of the gays. This is a blah, blah. Like, it would still be a complaint for the way.
You know what? I just thought about it. The way out of this is drop another hit. That's the real answer. How do you get out of being in trouble with the public? Make a hot song. So make a hot song with Lil Nas X, maybe featuring Elton John. I think he'll be all right. To be honest, this cancel is your new level of success. His career is not over. Like, what's going to happen? If he doesn't, what's going to happen is he's going to get pulled off all the mainstream stuff, and he'll go back to his little segment of hip hop, which is huge, still a ton of money, and he'll just be the thug hero in hip hop. Like, he didn't lose that group. He didn't lose his base. He lost his new fans. So it's not a career-ending type of situation. It's you can't rise any higher. Basically, you just set a glass ceiling for yourself. Now you have to go back to your lane.
Also, I found too sometimes that like the pendulum swings where it's like there's all this outrage, and then it gets to a point where it's like there's still all this outrage, but it's been enough distance to where it's like, why are you still mad at him? No, you can be mad at him. You know, we're gonna come back and support. Just I think about like when Britney Spears went, had her incidents back in the 2007s, and people were starting to quote unquote cancel because she was, I don't want to say going crazy. That's not a nice term, but she was definitely having a lot of issues in the public that were showing her in a negative light. And then people went from like making fun of her. It's like, no, stop making fun of her. Even though they were the ones making fun of her, they're not going to say stop it. And then her next album came out and she sold like 1 million something copies. So it's like there's that thing too where like I could see this thing where getting on DaBaby really hard to like, oh, now you're taking out of proportion. It's like, oh no, we want to listen to him again. How dare you ban him from the radio? How did this and that? We have a right to hear him. People's minds all just go back and forth all day with this kind of crap. So
yeah, that's why public opinion really isn't the greatest judge of anything. Like it's so fickle. Not to get like too deep and historical, but that's the whole like Roman play to the crowd, the whole thing with the gladiators and all the rest of it. It was like you're Caesar, but if you make the crowd mad, then you can lose your power, and then we can put a new Caesar. Like, you still got to keep the people happy. But it was just literally like fickle. Like, they love you today, they hate you tomorrow, they love you the next day. It really depends on what have you done for me lately. Outcast, you're only funky as your last hit. So DaBaby, if you really want to get over this, make a hot song. I mean, banger, like that one you got kind of chilling in the back that you was waiting on that special occasion. Put that out today. I'm sorry, just I wasn't really the names and the style of rap, but once again, he did kind of still have that like gangster rap appeal about him a little bit. I was kind of like, okay, you know, we're doing this thing, we'll see. You know,
it was like gangster rap meets like Busta or Ludacris, like, because he had like a lot of like the way his presentation was funny and energetic. So it's like, oh, I can get down with that because I love Busta and Ludacris. It's like the same vein.
Yeah. Well, you know, Jay-Z was like, you know, I'm a multimillionaire. How am I the hardest here? Like, you weren't anymore. Like, you had a legit, for real, actual hard ass dude, like rapping, taking the game over. Like, he lived the life he here now. Like, he was a new one. We got somebody else. Because it's been a minute where we was like, you ain't no thug, man. Don't stop. Go sit down. So we're like, ain't no gangsters in rap no more. You know what I'm saying? There's people claiming but it was like, that's another thing too. They were like, he's not a gangbanger. He don't claim nothing and all the rest of this. He don't do drugs. Like, he was kind of on that, like, yeah, I had a rough life, but I turned it around and now I'm a good, positive example. And then I just said some stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I can't really say positive example.
Well, no, because definitely he's still making songs. Like, I just saw his newest video that he put out the same week, and there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in that video. I'm like, oh, so you're still that dude. Like, he's still making the video. Like, he ain't done like a Jay-Z where like he's gone from like big pimping to like, you know, change clothes and classic. He's still doing ghetto style videos for most of his songs. So it's like, oh, so you're still in the mindset of that audience.
I was saying somebody like Jay needs to mentor him, because as long as it's 50, I think 50's still like, nah, you want to stay true to the streets, you want to keep your cred. I think 50's kind of got him appealing to the street, whereas Jay would be like, let that go. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jay would be on some, hey, look, man, put you on your suit. Let's go talk to these sponsors, these companies. You know what I'm saying? Forget being sponsored by, let's go buy you a liquor brand. You know, let's go get you a clothing label. Like, that's the mindset Jay is on. That's where I'm like, I think that's the difference in the mentorship. And I'm like, I feel like 50 could be, like 50 did the vitamin water thing. 50 got a show. It's a thug show, but it's still a show. You know, like put him on one of the power themes, bro. Like, get him away from that element for a minute.
I will say though, 50 Cent was also mentoring Pop Smoke. So yeah, and he's dead now. So maybe 50 doesn't have the best track record, is what I'm saying.
That's so mean. I gotta look into who else 50 mentoring, bro. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know enough about it to speak on 50 directly. I'm just saying, I'm like, I didn't even know that till this convo, but I just feel like he could have a big comeback if he does it right. Or he can be like, F everybody who's attacking me. And my worry is that is hip hop. Hip hop is, if you attack me, I attack you back. That's how M kept getting in trouble, because you can say what you want about the white boy, but he grew up in this. You know what I'm saying? He had that same fire in him, which is part of how he got in trouble in the first place. Because they came at him, he came right back at him. And he came back at them again. It was like, hey, you gotta calm that down, bro. Like, you can't keep attacking these people, it's gonna go bad. Oh, okay, notice,
because to be fair, when Jay-Z had done some stuff, and when Lil Wayne said or did some stuff, they never came immediately out. They'd either wait till the next song to address it, or they would like go through a publicist after a few days of it passing, but they would never just come out like the next day and say, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to tell them what I thought this and that. Cause like, no, that's why you have a team to get you. When you say some stuff that's ignorant, you can have a team behind you and say, hey, so this is how we're going to handle this. So give it a few days and let the news talk about it. Let it start to die down. And then you'll come out with a statement where you say, hey, I learned, I donated some money, and I talked to Elton John. We're all good now.
Right.
And you know what?
It doesn't always work, but it helps. Like, somebody need to get a list of artists he could work with and just do a couple of fire tracks, and then just like really just get behind the cause. Because Chris, like, everybody started chiming in on this, and people were like, bro, when Chris Brown is the voice of reason, what the, like, when this dude is the one of all people that's like, hey bro, get on stage, do your songs, and go home. Like,
yeah.
But whatever your opinion is, keep it to yourself.
Because even Chris with his incident, like when that thing happened to Rihanna, like again, he got lawyers. Like, don't say nothing yet. We gonna figure out how to handle this the best way we can, but don't come out the next day with a statement.
But when did the public forgive him?
Oh, yeah. When Deuces came out and he was like, F all y'all. I was like, oh, F us. We love you now. It's so true.
We're mad at you. I mean, look at the whole R. Kelly situation. The Boondocks told us a secret way back when. The R. Kelly trial, he got up there, started singing, everybody forgot about it. I'm just saying, like, Kels, you might not be in jail now if you would drop the album at the right time. I don't know. I think you kind of fight the case. You should have been in the studio. Like, people are that fickle, and it's really sad, but that's how I see it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Huey said it best. He said, I did battle with ignorance today, and ignorance won. You know, do your apologies, correct the mindset. That's really what it is. Understand what it was that offended the people in the first place. You don't think your comments were offensive? They said they were. Okay, talk to me. Dialogue. What about what I said was offensive? Okay, you mad about the miseducation about this thing? Okay, let's do a commercial. Let's do a PSA about it. I'll sit here and be on camera. That's what happens. That's what all this is about.
Earlier just went to, okay, hypothetically, what his mindset could have been. Might not have been, but like, I didn't want to say like, hey, I just want to know like a little about your, like where you're coming from. Why are you saying, why you felt it was okay to say this thing? What's that based on? What's your history with this kind of stuff? Like,
did he say specifically dudes? He said dudes, right? He specifically said dudes in the parking lot. He said,
dudes, getting sucking D in the parking lot. Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, if it wasn't specifically dudes, he was just talking to everybody. Like, you know, that's not a good look. Like you said, go home, go to the telly. Like, there's a better place to do that. The parking lot is not the appropriate venue for such actions. You know, I get that argument. I don't think that's what he was. But, you know, I get where you're coming from. You made a valid point.
People wouldn't even have a conversation about it, though. That's the thing. It's like people wouldn't even like, because Twitter's all just like, there's no dialogue back and forth. It's like, I'm just going to say a bunch of stuff and you're going to have to deal with what it is. And it's like, there's no actual conversation of like, hey, that was wrong. Here's why. And him being like, oh, my bad. This is why I didn't think it was wrong. Educate me some. Like, he might be open to that, but instead of even being, I would honestly, if I was somebody that said some outlandish stuff and I'm like, oh, my bad, I'd be like, okay, let's have the conversation. But you're going to come at me off the first thing I say and just yell at me and call me names, this and that. Why am I going to now be open to anything you have to say? So we're not helping the baby want to talk about it by canceling him and saying you're just automatically a bad person and F you and this and that. Like, okay, he was ignorant about it. Explain his ignorance in a way that is cordial without having to like also now name call him as well. Like, what does that do?
You know, like I'm not in agreement with how cancel culture does things by any means. Cancel culture isn't suffering the effects of the situation. DaBaby is. So I feel like the only person that can be helped in the situation right now is DaBaby. We got to figure out what to do about this cancel culture situation later. It's the mob mentality. It's the grab your torch and pitchforks. And it's not cool. It's just digital now instead of like mob justice.
So true. It's the modern day. It's literally the modern day pitchfork and lynching.
So, you know, my official position, I'm not for cancel culture. I think it's not helpful to our society in any way. But, you know, we can address what's brought up without being so malicious about it. Like, it's just, there's a better way to do it. But yeah, DaBaby, I think you'll be all right long term. You're going to take a couple L's. Take these L's real quick. Don't throw a tantrum.
He's not the first artist to say some stuff that got him canceled for a little bit and then come back with something else. So hopefully that process he'll learn how to better associate with the public and crowds and be aware that there are going to be cameras in the audience at all times. So you can still do some outlandish stuff, but you have to know what lines you can and can't cross in the course of doing that. Just realistically, as a public figure who's worldwide now, you got to know that stuff.
I'm just worried he's gonna go on a Breakfast Club and like double down on his statement. And then really get canceled like for good. Like, don't do that.
I don't know. I mean, work with Trump. He tripled down on stuff, and nobody canceled him.
Okay, they tried to cancel Trump. They tried.
Trump never apologized for anything. As much as I don't agree with a lot of his stuff, the fact is he is able to skate by because people are just like, he didn't say sorry. Well, on to the next thing. Like, it's dead at that point. So I'm not saying I you know, if DaBaby genuinely feels apologetic, I would be great for him to say that. But also, if he doesn't want to, I totally get it. because typically these incidents pass by a lot easier when you don't, which is sad, but also very true. So yeah, so baby, hope you get out of this, gigs. I like to hear some more hits from you. It's pretty great. But yeah, so we'd love to hear your guys' opinion about this. Do you think what DaBaby said was outlandish? Do you think he should be forgiven? Do you think what he said was like no big deal? Leave your comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have anything you want us to talk about on one of these random talks that we do, then leave that in the comments as well. So that's all we got. I'm APT Songs.
Peace.
See y'all later. Peace.